a big part of why we have friends sing on the album is just wanting to celebrate that connection. And it's special to get them to like be featured on the album. I think that is one of my favorite parts about making music is just all the friends that we've made getting to do it. Like I feel so lucky.
You might have heard the expression band of brothers. Well, that's exactly what Joyer is, although I don't think that's what Shakespeare had in mind when he coined the phrase. Today, however, it's often used to refer to any group of people who share a deep bond after enduring together through some hardship. And that also happens to be the story behind the latest album from brothers Nick and Shane Sullivan, who started the band some 6 years ago and lived apart for most of the time since. That album is called On the Other End of the Line. It comes out Friday, and they just embarked on a US tour yesterday that will take them through mid-December as they support bands like Rocket and Teethe. And I was fortunate enough to speak with this band of brothers about it all.
I'll finish up and then I'll fly. It gets me through the longer nights. There's nothing really I can do. Just make sure I can feel it too. It's not really that hard to tell that I'm fully under your spell. So I'm happy to stick around. My feet hover above the ground.
I'll talk about the album first. So I was reading that it's, easily your most vulnerable in terms of content. Obviously, there's always some, feelings surrounding each release that you come out with. But does this time feel different at all? And if so, what's sort of going through your heads as we lead up to it?
Yeah, I guess it's like more exciting. A big intention on this album is to like focus more on like melody and kind of like vocal hooks and things like that. And with that comes like a lot more like lyrics you have to write. Like we used to be like a pretty slowcore band, very minimal vocals. So I think we're just like excited that we like tried something pretty new that we're excited by.
Yeah.
And happy with. So yeah.
It's also exciting that I feel like in the past, our albums, we've had to like wait a long time to release an album and like sit on the album for a while. And this is like the quickest turnaround because we came out with an album just last year. So it's really cool to be able to like release the songs. They're still like, I guess a year old at this point, but still newer and fresher than like they usually are by the time they get to be released. So that's exciting to me.
Yeah. Was that, I guess, was it just sort of chance that it happened this way, that you're able to get some stuff out earlier than you would have expected? Or
I guess like we had the album done. We weren't sure like when we were going to release it or anything, but they kind of went through some changes and like hit us up to be like, do you have anything? Like we're trying to like,
kind of like restructured.
Restructured, brought some new people on. So we were just like, yeah, we do actually. We just happen to. And it just like kind of went from there. Like I think we were thinking that we'd probably sit on it for a bit just because, the way like label schedules work and stuff like that.
Sure.
But no, they were down to go full steam ahead. So we kind of just followed them.
And timeline wise, I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like your 5th album in about 6 years.
Yeah.
Which pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. It kind of depends like how you count it in a way, because I guess it's like our 4th album that we recorded in a studio, but like definitely been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks. Yeah, we try, I don't know, just try to make as much as we can, make what we like. So
yeah. And getting into like the details of it a little bit, it's from what I understand, it's really like a meditation on distance and kind of just the emotions, the feelings it brings about. Specifically, I was reading the write-up for it. You talk about these stints in far-reaching places. So can you speak a little bit more to any like specific periods of time that you think are maybe most relevant to the album?
Yeah, Nick and I, we've like been living in different cities for like a while now, but around the time that we were making these songs, it was like the furthest away, like distance-wise we've been. Like he was in New York, or were you in Philly already?
Both.
Yeah.
The span of writing.
And then I was in Boston. So like, I feel like we would only see each other when we were like touring or playing shows.
Sure.
And like I was at a spot where like I had been living in Boston for a while at that point and was feeling kind of isolated because a lot of my friends had moved away. We were touring a lot last year, and that was just like full of these great moments of like connecting with people and like really getting to just like be around a lot of different people through music. And since we were touring so much, the periods where we would come home and like I would go back to Boston and then kind of just like be away from bandmates and like a bunch of people and like not having as many friends around felt like extra isolating, and like found myself longing more and more for that connection that I was craving. And that's like what made me now move to like Brooklyn now to be closer to like the people that I love and closer to like, this has always been more central to like where the band is. So like made more sense for that. So we could keep up with just all things music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because I was already in New York and then moved to Philly where I know people. I guess like the biggest inspirational period for me was like being on tour. We did like 4 or 5 tours, but like the 2 that were like super long where we went to like LA or just like the West Coast, I think informed a lot of like the songs that I like wrote the lyrics for, because I guess I was just figuring out like my middle ground, where I think of my life in like 2 parts of doing Joyer stuff, which takes up a lot of time, and then like my day job and my day-to-day stuff with people I know like outside of music.
Yeah.
And the line between those two, because on tour I feel like I'm so happy doing all that, but I feel like guilty that I'm like taking off from work or I don't see my girlfriend and my cats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then when I'm like home, I'm like, oh, I need to be like doing more stuff musically and like just keep pushing. So a lot of that comes through in like what I was writing about, kind of just like this balance between those two.
Yeah. I was reading too that, you talk about being torn between these 2 separate lives, for, lack of a better term. There's like the home life and the touring life. And over the years, have you been able to find a little bit of a more like sustainable balance, or like has that gotten easier at all?
I think so. I think just doing it so much, you kind of have to like make your concessions where they are and stuff like that. I have a job that's like a lot easier to take off from now. Still get like homesick, but also like touring is like one of my favorite things to do ever. So I feel like there's still aspects of it that are challenging, but I just love doing it. So it all works out.
Yeah.
I personally feel like it's never easy, just because, I don't know, we love touring and like it's something that we have to do. And like, I mean, like we get told that we should be touring as much as possible, which is great and we love it, but it makes it hard to like kind of establish a normal routine outside of that when you're home, especially with like personal relationships and also job stuff. I'm kind of still on the work a job when I'm home and then have to quit to go on tour to get back and then find like another job when I'm back. But I mean, I think what Nick was saying is that like we've been doing it for so long now that like we kind of know how to navigate it. But I feel like it's never easy, but it's manageable, and I don't think either of us would change anything if we could.
Yeah. While we're talking about it, I have to mention you guys are leaving on tour. I think the first show is like the 22nd.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And so it's split up into sort of like these 2 parts. And if that grass is always greener sort of analogy holds up, you're just really excited to get back out there. So I guess what are you like most looking forward to about this run of shows? And what are you maybe, I don't know, dreading a little bit? I'm
excited for both of them in different ways. This first one, we're meeting up with Rocket, who we know like very vaguely. Like we met them like once or twice. So I'm excited to like hang out with them and see their stuff live and all that.
Yeah.
Because we're like huge music fans at the end of the day. So like with Teethe, we're like super friendly with them, and Villager, which is like the later part of the tour.
Yeah.
And I'm excited just to like hang out with my friends again. Things that I'm dreading is we're hitting like the Midwest in the winter. We did that last year and it got kind of precarious.
Yeah.
But it makes for like a more adventurous time. So yeah.
Just make sure you have chains for your van.
Yeah, you gotta get some for sure. What about you?
I think we're just really excited to play again. We didn't do a lot of playing at all this year. Like we haven't played a show since like early 2025.
Wow.
So it'll feel good to just like knock the rust off and start playing again. And also like getting an opportunity to play the new songs will be really exciting. So that's what I'm mostly excited for.
Yeah. How about that new Rocket album? I think, didn't it come out on like Friday or something? It's very recent. Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm so
is.
excited to see that stuff live.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that'll be a good pairing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm on the West Coast, so I'll miss that. But
yeah. Well,
hopefully we'll come out there again soon.
Yeah.
Going to a place where all my cups are always filled up. It's the kind of place I can bank on a lonely Sunday night. And when I stick my hands in my pockets and I drink down all my heavens, and I let myself get loose so I don't stay uptight.
if we could talk about the album a little bit more, you've talked in the past about wanting to expand on sort of like the poppier style of the last album even further. Do you think you've kind of pulled this off with this album, and if so, like how?
I think so. Like it feels really different for us. Like I think there's like an aspect of that I feel with like every album that we release, but this one like more so. I'd be interested to even go even further into it maybe. But, I think like for what we were trying to do, I'm really happy with how it came out.
Yeah, it's this funny thing where like we always love to try new things, and like we like so many different types of music, so I feel like we're always consciously going into different directions, and we're always like so worried like, oh no, is this like so different? And then I feel like to everyone else it doesn't end up sounding like all that different, which I think is really great. Like I feel like it's cool that the music always sounds like authentic to us.
Yeah.
But I personally think we achieved that. I think like there's a lot more like upbeat and like catchy stuff on this record that we kind of played around with on the last one, but you know, went even further in that direction.
Yeah, I think our ultimate goal is to like be able to like explore different like pockets of genre and like music, but still have it kind of make sense as being like, still have it be like us without it just being like a completely left turn. Like I think that's our favorite kind of bands that are able to kind of explore different ideas, but it still sounds like them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Expanding on the difference in sound, at least, you know, from your perception, we've got a couple songs out right now, especially that really showcase kind of like this folkier side. What kind of appealed to you this time about, I guess, leaning into this like subtle twang and more complicated arrangement style, if there was anything?
Yeah, it wasn't really like a conscious choice to make it like folky per se, but I think that we wanted to like have like what we perceived as like stronger songwriting, and because of that we kind of wanted that to like shine and like strip back some of like, I don't know, the heavier effects and things like that. And I think that's kind of like where that's coming from, where we're kind of like letting the writing be like more in the forefront than like anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just like exploring the softer side of our music taste, because like there's definitely heavier and louder moments on the album, and definitely on the last record too. I think we thought it would be interesting and fun to kind of strip it back and make more softer sounding songs, and it's all just really about our music taste. I feel like we like so many different things, so it's hard for us to just like only go in one direction or like one sound.
Yeah,
and I think like a big thing that we try to avoid is like then whatever comes next being like indistinguishable from what came before it. Like I think we'd hate to have like an album where it's just like the same thing again.
Yeah.
So like the last album was like we got like heavier than ever before, and now we're kind of doing some more softer stuff. Although there is like heavy stuff on the album, this new album. Yeah.
The pendulum is swinging in the other direction.
Yeah.
So the next one's going to have to be heavy then. But no, it seems to me that this album probably wouldn't be what it is without the help and the collaboration that you've done with some, maybe like-minded musicians. And so what are your thoughts on like the importance of collaboration in like your own personal creative process? And I guess how do they work together?
Yeah. Us being brothers is like so like helpful. Like I've been in other bands, but I haven't been like the like main songwriter in another band before, and just like the idea of us being like so close where we can like, I don't know, disagree without feeling like awkward.
Oh yeah.
And like we could like butt heads without it like becoming like a serious thing. I think it's like so helpful between the two of us. In terms of like other people who worked on the album, I feel like we were always kind of afraid to like let other people into like the process because I don't know, we were just kind of like insular about it. But one of the biggest, I don't know, factors of how this album came out, I think, is having Henry Stair from Slow Pulp like produce it and record it, because we weren't even like super familiar with like Slow Pulp's music before a friend of ours like suggested that he record us, and we were like, whoa, like once we started listening to Slow Pulp, we were like, this is like so inspiring. Like very quickly became like a big influence on us. And then like because of that, it was like once we finally met and started working on the album, he just kind of like understood everything we were going for like immediately. And I think having like collaborators like that are super important, because like there definitely is some things that are hard to kind of like articulate when you're trying to like make art and things like that. And having like like-minded people who kind of get it without having to really like explain it, it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
I also really like one of my favorite things about doing music is just like the people that you meet along the way, and like the friends and the connections that you make just through like the music community and like touring and playing shows. So like a big part of why we have friends sing on the album is just wanting to celebrate that connection, and it's special to get them to like be featured on the album. I think that is one of my favorite parts about making music, is just all the friends that we've made getting to do it. Like I feel so lucky.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about like Slow Pulp sound being, inspiring. Do you find that you're often influenced by contemporary groups, or I guess where do you find yourselves mostly drawing that influence from?
I feel like mostly it's kind of older stuff, like a lot of 90s stuff, but also like classic rock and things like that. There's definitely like contemporary bands that are super inspiring.
I think we get really inspired by like our friends' music and like the bands that we tour with or play a lot of shows with, like Sabrina Nichols, who sings on a lot of the record. She has a band called Shep Treasure that we both really, really like. And just getting to play shows.
I got the Shep Treasure.
Oh, nice. Getting to play shows with your friends is just like so inspiring and really special. So like we get really inspired by, I feel like, a lot of the contemporary music.
It's like a mix of both.
Yeah, definitely a mix of both. But also like big fans of we listen to a lot of contemporary music, I would say.
Do you think, are your friends inspired by you?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. That would I would be flattered if they were.
Yeah, me too.
It's never come up though.
I've never thought about it.
Well, you gotta ask them the next time you see them. I think it was Shane that said before regarding in the writing of Cure, how even like these short interactions with strangers can, have the potential to be meaningful, where you can put meaning onto them. As touring musicians, I'm guessing you probably have, over the course of your career, hundreds of meaningful connections with, people who really resonate with your music, only to be, immediately pack up and then like move on to the next city. And so is that ever something that like gets to you?
Yeah. I mean, mostly I just think about how special it is. Like, I feel so lucky that we're able to just like travel the country and like meet people that we wouldn't have met otherwise. But yeah, sometimes it's sad. I think the saddest thing is like you, especially through like playing shows and touring with other bands, like some of our closest friends live like the opposite side of the country, and like we only get to see them when we come through town for a show and we hang out like for a night, and then it's like, oh, I'll see you next year or something like that. So like that definitely gets to me. And it's the internet makes it a lot easier to like maintain these relationships, but it's definitely a bummer when like you don't get to see your friends that often because
but it's as cheesy as it sounds about like music bringing people together, it is like sort of true where like there'll be like people that like we've met once, like played with once or something like that, but we still like keep in contact with, and like in our minds we're like better friends than you would think just meeting them once. Like even like as this album's coming out, people are like will like message me and be like, new song's so sick, like and we talk like we're like that we've met each other more than once and stuff like that. It's just really cool feeling. And same with like bands that we like, just always try to keep in touch as much as we can.
Yeah. I don't know. My theory has always been like, the internet obviously has the power to close that distance quite a bit, but people can sometimes have a tendency to not reach out because they just know the option's always there.
Yeah, it's true. And it also doesn't hit the same, just like connecting over Instagram. Like it's like hard to really maintain a relationship like that as opposed to like getting to like hang out in person or like have more uninterrupted conversations.
And that's why I just have to tour constantly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so probably last thing on the album, its title, from what I understand, On the Other End of the Line, has actually quite a deeper meaning to it, whereas sometimes, the title isn't as essential to understanding the core of the album. Can you speak a little bit more to the title and what it means to you?
Yeah, I think it's just like we had this theme in mind for the album, just about connection and longing for connection and distance kind of getting in the way of connection, and like just kind of that being a symbol of that, like who's on the other end of the line, and like trying to be hopeful that there's something like bigger involved, and that like how special connection is. I don't know if I'm doing a good job or teaching.
No, it makes sense to me. It's like it's so obscure that it's hard to.
I know.
But
that's why I made an album about it.
Yeah, I guess so. And it comes from that song Here, where like it's like a lyric from that song, which I feel like really speaks to like the theme. I feel like that one matches up with that theme. Like we explore it the most on that song.
So if there was a title track or like a standout or one that you hope people connect to the most, would that be it, do you think?
I would think so, yeah. For like that reason, and musically, I think it feels like a good entry point to the record, because it shows like the different sides of the album sonically too, where there's some like twangier parts and some like heavier, more rockin' aspects to it.
Yeah. So it's the most like all-encompassing.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I mean, that was like the thought behind making that like the first single. So hopefully that was a good choice.
And you had a single come out today, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Called At the Movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So what was, I mean, you talked about like kind of being intentional about the first song. Was there as much thought put onto the next? I know sometimes it's always a game, the order and sequencing and things like that, but.
Yeah, it was weird, like, because we like kind of like tried out a bunch of like new things for us. We weren't really sure like how to approach doing the singles. Like we were like, wow, like we could like in our minds justify like a lot of the tracks being singles. So it was kind of like a collaboration between like we like asked like, you know, Sabrina and Morgan and Jake, the people who were like featured on the album, but also like Julia's War had a hand in suggesting, and our manager and stuff. It was kind of like another collaboration where we kind of took everyone's ideas to heart and like figured it out that way.
Yeah.
In terms of like what made the most sense for like teasing out the album and like giving people a sense of what it sounds like, and also just like our favorite songs. And
yeah. Like and also like not putting some of the songs out earlier that like might sound like outliers on the album. It's just to like, some of the songs like are heavier and some of them are softer. So getting a good mix of both of them so that when someone listens to the record, they're not like, whoa, I was not expecting this like really loud thing. Or maybe that would have been cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard. I have a lot of trouble deciding things like that. I really appreciate like the album, like listening to an album as like a cohesive piece of work. So it's hard for me to like single them out.
Well, not that these anxieties necessarily exist, but to quell some of them, I don't think anyone would stop listening to an album if they're suddenly surprised that they're, you know, whoa, you know, where did that come from? But
it's true.
Yeah. It's like we almost like don't even listen to singles of like bands that we like sometimes because we want to like listen to it all the way through. So like we're always so indecisive about what to pick for ourselves because it's like a weird concept for us.
Yeah. I think there was some discussion. I think this was also in the write-up for the album that I read. I think you said something about feeling kind of misunderstood in the responses to your last album, that maybe people felt differently about it than you thought they would. What do you hope people get out of this one?
Yeah. At the end of the day, like I like that people take what they want out of it or what they do out of it. I just think that we were trying to maybe step away a little bit from like the shoegaze realm, just because in our minds, I guess we were trying to just make like louder music. But I'm not like mad that it was like perceived that way. This new album, I guess I'd hope that people find it to be more melodic and, but also like I'm happy for people to take whatever they want out of it. As long as people are listening, I'm happy. So
yeah, I hope there's something for everyone in it, since like we kind of do jump around in different styles. Like I hope everyone can find something in it. And like, yeah, I agree with Nick. Like at the end of the day, as long as someone likes it, it doesn't matter exactly why they like it, as long as they're like connecting with it and enjoying it.
And there you have it. Don't forget, Joyer's new album, On the Other End of the Line, is out Friday, and they're on tour now. So check out the album and go see them live if they're on their way to you. For more interviews with other cool bands, visit youngsteryear.com, follow this project on Instagram @youngsteryear, and listen to these interviews anywhere podcasts are available. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for listening.